my daddy's got a gun. Daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun. You'd better run, my daddy's got a gun. My daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun. You'd better run. If you can't guess the TikTok fascination that's stuck in my head at the moment, hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Since everyone is in that New Year's kind of a mood at the moment, even though this year is looking so much like the old one, I don't know what people were expecting when they just let a pandemic happen for 9 months. So I wanted to capture some of that fresh, goal-oriented mindset and talk about the fantasy series that are on my physical TBR that I want to finish this year. So these have to be ones that are already published entirely, they are completed, and I have to have at least started the first book already. Will I actually get to all of these? Probably not, but I sure would like to. So we're going to start things off with the series that I can't seem to stop talking about on this channel. It is the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner. I have not yet read the final book in the series, Return of the Thief, which is book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the series. I know that I am not yet emotionally prepared for this book, but I am so close to reaching it because in book 5, I am I'm almost to the end. And then I don't have an excuse to not read Return of the Thief unless my library takes it back and then won't give it to me, because I keep having to renew my loan on it because I cannot buy it until it exists in paperback to match my other books. So anyway, I have access to it. I don't currently have it physically. These books go so quickly, but they're so emotionally devastating that I can usually only read like 1 or 2 at a time. So there's that. We're going to move along to a series that I have had on my shelves for a distressing amount of time, which is the Collegia Magica books by Carol Berg. It is very Renaissance Italy, but with magic. So there's politicking and court intrigue and murder assassination attempts and on the king and, all those kinds of things. The covers are bad. And I don't know why Carol Berg keeps getting struck with the curse of the bad book cover, but she does. And she should not be punished for that because her books are great. She has amazing world building. She has great characterization. Her stories always end up taking me places that I did not think that they were going to go. And that is rare for someone who has read as many fantasy books as I have. So I love her writing. I love her books. I know I'm going to love this series. Every time I tried to start this first book, the ending was too slow and I would put it down and forget about it. And I knew that once I got past that slow beginning, I would really like it and that I would want to then read the rest of the series. But I kept getting distracted and forgetting about it. So what I finally did was I got the audiobook and I tried it that way. And I actually am now about 1/3 of the way through book 1. Each book in this series is a continuous series, but they are all told from different people. So this one is told from the perspective of a librarian of the Magic University who entered the university as a student and then found out that though he was descended from magical blood, he did not possess any magical talent and therefore became the university's librarian. He is a distant cousin to the king, and so he is called upon to be a private investigator, essentially, when there is a magical assassination attempt on the king, because who better to hire than the person who knows all about magic, but who can't use said magic. So, he teams up with a very brooding, snarky sorcerer who I do enjoy. His name is even Dante. It's great. So, I might stick with audiobook for this first book, but I would like to read physical books of the other two, which are Soul Mirror and The Demon Prism. I don't think I've met the main character of book 2 yet in book 1, so I'm very curious to see when she shows up. And then the main, the point of view character in the third book is Dante said snarky sorcerer. And yes, I know the cover is bad. The books are great, just ignore the bad covers. So the other series by Carol Berg that I need to finish is the Sanctuary duology, which the first book is Dust and Light. This isn't the worst of her bad covers, but it's not great. And then Ash and Silver, which is just not the actual vibe of this book. It makes it look like a kind of trashy fantasy romance novel. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that is not what this book is. This series kind of takes place during like Rome-occupied Britain, or I think it was like just after Rome left, when their whole like society is collapsing. But there's this whole system of like purebloods that I think are the only ones that have magic. If I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've read the first series, because this is technically a prequel series to a different series that I read like 10 years ago at this point. And there are these people that are purebloods that I believe are the only ones that can do magic, and they are essentially kept in extreme privilege and extreme isolation and under extreme control. And so whenever a pureblood tries to run away, they're usually found very quickly because they are unable to give up all of their privilege. They just want all the freedom that they're being denied. And so they're always found at like the fanciest inn in town, essentially. And the first series is from the point of view of the only pureblood that has ever escaped capture. So, this prequel series, Sanctuary, is from the point of view of a pureblood, I think, but I can remember so little about it, except that it's another murder mystery fantasy one. She doesn't always write murder mystery fantasy books, but when she does write them, she writes them really well. So, if that's the kind of thing that you're into, check her out, because they've got great world building, great characters, and there's a lot of like fun murder mystery stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to a series that I only have one book left. I feel like it shouldn't take me very long because I've always really enjoyed these books. It is the final book in the Aliette Bedard. What is the overarching? It's like something about Dominion, I think, in the title, but the first book is The House of Shattered Wings, and then the second book is House of Binding Thorns, and the third is The House of Sundering Flame. And this is a trilogy about a magical, futuristic, war-torn, dystopian Paris where angels fell to Earth, and then both in war against other sort of more indigenous immortal spirits, they waged war against them, and then they ended up, breaking down into civil war and essentially causing World War III and destroying most of the world. Because imperialism metaphor. But it's so good. I love this series. There are a lot of great characters in this series. The world is super cool and interesting, and a really interesting mix of like the Judeo-Christian mythology versus like Vietnamese mythology, and the author herself is biracial of French and Vietnamese. And it's a super queer series. Like, most of the angels are queer, I feel like. If they're not, they don't matter. Quite a few of the immortals are as well, so it is just a very delightful time. I mean, it's serious, it is somewhat dark, but I love that series. And so I need to read book 3. The next series that I need to finish, again, I just have to finish the third and final book, is also about gods. It is the Robert Jackson Bennett books. I don't ever know what the overarching series title for things are. I think of them as the City of Blank series, though that's probably not helpful, because the first book is City of Stairs, the second is City of Blades, and the third and final book that I need to read is City of Miracles. This is another one where each book has a different main character. They take place pretty far apart in time from each other. Like, I think the distance between 1 and 2 is like 5-ish years. So, there's significant development in the world, and so it's really interesting to sort of get a full story, but that spans that, amount of time and through those many different places. So this series is honestly kind of has similar vibes to The 100,000 Kingdoms in that it's a lot about like the fallen gods and these like sort of remnants of fallen gods. So the first book has a very murder mystery vibe to it. The second book has a little more of like espionage, but also involving dead gods and very trippy dreams and diverse characters in a very cool world. And I don't really know anything about what book 3 is going to be like, but they've all been great so far, so I should read them. The more I'm describing, the more I'm realizing that I have too many series that I'm not going to get through them all this year, but shh, it's fine. This is aspirational, not realistic. Anyway, the next series I want to finish is the Baru Cormorant series by Seth Dickinson. I am about halfway through the first book right now, and I started this book series because I had just finished what is currently published of the Locked Tomb trilogy, the Gideon the Ninth series, which, honorable mention to the Locked Tomb series, I can't technically include it in this video because it has not actually been published yet, and while it is expected to get published in 2021, nothing is certain. So this list only includes things that I actually own and have access to. I finished that trilogy and I was like, I want to read more lesbian fantasy. So I picked up this one. And this one is very, very different. This one is about a girl who is living in an island nation that is very like queer normative, very polynormative. So she has a mother and two fathers. And then some white people arrive and fuck everything up. And they don't like the fact that she has a mother and two fathers, and one of her fathers is just kind of quietly disappeared. And she ends up essentially having to hide her own queerness to take on a civil servant position for the Empire because she wants to essentially take it down from the inside to avenge her people and her father specifically, because she is basically a maths genius. And so she's able to go and like get training in order to accomplish this. And it's executed very well, but it is pretty serious. And there are times when I have the emotional bandwidth to process this kind of story, but they don't happen all the time. So this one I do really want to read because it's really good. I just don't know how much of my brain power will be available for something like this, but it's really good. Okay, the next is a fun series that I do have 2 books left to read, but the first one I got through pretty quickly, and it was this fun, like, alternative history, urban fantasy, Californian story that I really enjoyed. So it was California Bones was the first book by Greg Van Eekhout. I think I read this in 2020. Yes, I did. And this is another one where the books have different point of view characters for each book. So the first book is this guy called, what was his name? Daniel, I think? Yes, Daniel. And he was raised by this very powerful alchemist who took him to like the beaches of Santa Monica to go searching for the like fossilized remains of powerful magical creatures. And so they like find a kraken spine and then they like grind it up and use it in potions for alchemy. And so they like drink it and then they take in the like essence of that creature. Super cool magic system. They are living in a California that is divided into 2 like kingdoms because California broke away and then there are 2 separate kingdoms. So the kingdom of Northern and Southern Californias, respectively. And so Daniel is putting together a heist in a very strange but also familiar Los Angeles. And it's very entertaining. And so because I found the first book to be so enjoyable, I do really want to, at least get through the second book. Maybe I don't have to finish the entire series, but at least get one more done. So my final series that I want to finish this year is Fury of the Phoenix by Cindy Pon. Where is it? So the first book is Silver Phoenix. So this, I believe, was her first ever published novel, and then you'll see that they kind of changed the cover scheme in between the first and second books. I read the first one a long time ago, so I might need to reread this one, but it shouldn't take me that long because it's a quick YA series. It would be nice to read another Cindy Pon. I mean, I also might read Ruse, which is the sequel to Want, which I have down there. I just haven't, I was kind of waiting for Ruse to come out in paperback because I have this one in paperback, and then I kind of forgot to buy it because I'd gotten distracted by other books, so I don't actually have it. But if I can get it cheaply, I might want to read Ruse as well, because this one, where the elite live in little airtight suits when they go out into the populace, whereas the populace just has to deal with the extremely polluted air with their face masks that aren't as effective. It just feels a little bit too real, but these are a fun, like, heisty series set in Taipei, which, as soon as we are able to internationally travel again, I really want to go to so badly. I want to just, like, eat my way through Taipei. Which I say that partly because I just love food, but also Cindy Pon really loves food, and the way that she describes food in this book, you're gonna be hungry and you're gonna want to eat everything that she describes in this book. So that is going to be all of the series that I'm going to attempt to finish in 2021. Attempt might be the operative word there, but now that I've told the internet, maybe I'll be a little bit more motivated. I start my semester tomorrow, so we'll see how much brain power I have left in between classes and internship. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to tell me what some of your reading goals are, or some series that you want to finally, like, check off your list in the comments, let me know. Or if that's too much work, you can just say hi or leave a purple heart, because as a bisexual, that's how I show my love. And at any rate, I will see you soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye!